Welcome back. This time we're talking about Hidden Figures, telling the mostly untold true story of three African American women who helped the United States win the space race despite being discriminated against at every turn because of both their gender and the color of their skin. Directed by Theodore Melfi, who gave us the wonderful film St. Vincent, Hidden Figures is a story about perseverance and the power of both the human spirit and the human mind. And it finds a wonderful balance between showcasing the horribly unfair roadblocks put in front of these women, as well as the satisfaction of their eventual triumphs. As I mentioned, the story focuses on three women involved in the space program back in the early 60s. And they are Katherine G. Johnson, played by Taraji P. Henson, an incredibly skilled mathematician who worked essentially as a computer before NASA got mainframe computers. Mary Jackson, played by Janelle Monáe, is an aspiring engineer, but unfortunately she can't take any of the classes required to get that degree because there's no school in segregated Virginia offering those classes to African American students. And Dorothy Vaughn, played by Octavia Spencer, is the de facto director of the West Area Computers Division, where all the African American women are segregated. By rights, she should be the director, but those positions are never given to African Americans. With the Russians continuing to maintain their lead in the space race, however, Catherine is transferred to the Space Task Group, which is trying to devise the mathematics required to send John Glenn up as the first American into space. And that task group is led by Al Harrison, played by Kevin Costner, includes a variety of scientists and mathematicians, including one played by Jim Parsons. So in many ways, this film is twofold. On one hand, it's showing the behind-the-scenes scientific work necessary to get the astronauts into space, and it's the astronauts that we all remember. But it also goes to show that among these unsung heroes, there were a number of them that participated despite being horribly discriminated against. And we see signs of that everywhere, where you have the segregated bathrooms, you have Catherine being unable to drink from the same coffee pot as all of the people working around her. I mean, no one can honestly say that racism is gone in the United States. That's ludicrous. But to see the institutionalized, codified, lawful discrimination that these women faced back in the 60s, as someone who was born in the 80s, is absolutely shocking. I mean, I've seen it in other movies, but every time it's mind-boggling that such a world ever existed. And despite the fact that we have plenty of more work to do, at least we can say that we have come that far. And this film provides plenty of powerful moments. Again, both from a scientific discovery angle as well as this more of human spirit of persevering and eventually overcoming these man-made obstacles. I thoroughly enjoyed this movie. I've mentioned before my father was actually involved in the space program, so I love movies about the space program, about NASA, about the space race. And these are stories that I have to admit that I really wasn't familiar with, but I'm really glad I saw this movie because these are powerful stories and delivered in an entertaining but also compelling way. If you look at a lot of the Oscar bait movies, these 2016 holdovers that I'm continuing to review well into January, a lot of them are rather dour, they're down, they're depressing. But this is a movie that, despite the issues and serious problems that these women are dealing with, it's an uplifting movie. There's a joy to it. We have these successes, these things to celebrate, both as a nation as we're sending our first astronaut into space, as well as the personal victories that these women seize and we can celebrate along with them. This was a movie that I was hoping was going to be good, and it's honestly great. It's rated PG, it's very family friendly, it's going to definitely open up some questions for younger audiences that aren't aware of the racism that our country just took as normal. But that's not necessarily a bad thing. This is a great movie and definitely one that everyone should go see. If you've seen Hidden Figures, what did you think about it? As always, you can subscribe to my channel, check out some of my other reviews, and until next time, I'll see you at the movies.